So this is uh this is like a video that some people ask me to do. Even people that's really popular that you follow have kind of leaned on to ask me to make content like this. Kind of like to because it is, believe it or not, there is men that do need help in the department of like trying to get laid, trying to get a woman, trying to have a relationship. There is, and I think it'll be that way for eternity. It is going to always be men that is going to have a problem getting women. It's been that way before I was born. It's going to be there that way after I'm dead. Like it's just I think it's part of nature. It's just something to do with nature more than anything, and also just there's a lot of things that's involved with men that have problems with women. And it could also be societal based as well, right? There's a lot of stuff, and I've talked about this on this channel. I talk about sex because, and the reason why I'm doing this is so many incels, shooters, is so many like people out here just losing when it comes to like just life in general, and then women. It just kind of like, man, I just kind of say something, man. If maybe I can help one person, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, to me, the reason why I'm laughing about this is right. And I know this is not a laughing matter, for there is legitimately men, especially in America. That's why I say it's a societal issue as well. It is a lot of men that do have problems with women, and it's in a category of getting laid. Now, I'm not gonna say that I'm out here like player from you know, the movie Booty Caller or something like that. I mean, when I was younger, I was, more um kind of out there. But when you get older, you got kids. I mean, to a certain extent, most people when they have kids, they get a little bit more conservative in their behaviors and what they do, and they probably already had a slip up or whatever, and they just just try to kind of like straighten themselves out. But the thing is that it's guys that they ain't never had none of that. They have a problem. They have a legitimate problem when it comes to women. Now, there is a societal issue in the fact that why things are so difficult when it comes to women, and I'm just speaking on in America. One, obviously, the laws are set up to where poor men, can get financially abused by women. Poor women can Poor men cannot afford to be financially abused by women. So you do have men that are scared. They're financially scared of women, or they have some type of financial fear that involves their dealings with women, and it comes, when it comes to sex. Those men usually are not necessarily incels. The men that are more or less incels are, I think, his and Alan Roger Curry talked a lot about this, and he was, pretty much, in case you didn't know who Alan Roger Curry was, he was a dating coach, dating expert amongst men, and he helped out a lot of guys, and he talked a lot about how men are so timid when it comes to women, and he understood what women were looking for, how to get women, more than probably most guys. He was above average when it comes to figuring out how to get women. Now, I'm gonna be honest. This is not complicated. Getting women is not that complicated, but I can see how it could be also complicated because getting women is also biological as well. It's also part of nature. I will admit, even though I have videos of my actual true self, but I don't really go, I don't do a lot of like videos like that. I mean, of course, TikTok I do, but the thing is this. I'm not gonna lie. I hit the genetic lottery in a sense of, okay, I am around 6'3". I have like an NFL build, so I got muscles. I played football, played sports, um, and it's like I'm not gonna lie. That is a genetic lottery that a lot of men are not born with. Okay, because I think only like 14 or 15% of men in just America alone are over 6 foot. Like like only 15% of the population of all men in America are 6 foot or higher. I just so happen to be 6 foot and a few inches. Okay. So that's a rarity that is going to put me in a mating category higher than most men, just genetically, just naturally, just being born, father's genes, mom's genes. I'm 6 foot plus, right? So also as far as looks, eh, I look all right, you know. Um, I know how to look, look good or whatever, when the occasions rise, right? Um, but yeah, like I'm not gonna lie. If you are, if you do have like a problem as far as look and and things like that, maybe you, let's just say you like 5'6" and ugly. Well, I'm gonna be honest. I've seen men that are 5'6" and ugly get women, get a lot of women, and you like probably asking in your head, what do they do? Do they pay these women? Do they, trick off on them? No, I mean some guys they do that approach, but what I'm gonna be talking about tonight, I'm gonna be getting real explicit. Okay. Um, I know people are religious, and that's one reason why. Like, let's just break down all of the reasons why guys are like incels. Okay, and I've been kind of going along with that anyway. I've been breaking it down. Like one looks do matter. Women are picky when it comes to men, and you can't blame women for being picky because you got to look at it like this, right? And this is reality when it comes to women and who they pick. And the reason, and this explains why women are very, I'm not going to say they're like super picky. It's women that are not really that picky when it comes to things. They particularly look at looks, but looks doesn't necessarily, like one of the things that women understand in their older age and wisdom is that whoever they picked, yeah, they might have a baby that looks good, and they're satisfied with the results of who they had a baby by, but they could tell that person is something, it was something missing, in a sense of they picked a guy that looked good to them, maybe made them feel special or made them feel good sexually, because that's another thing, right? But then I'm gonna get to that, right? But they picked a guy maybe that they look attracted to, or whatever, he was attracted to them, but he wasn't able to give them any type of long-term relationship. So a lot of women, this is a lot of society. This is, America, this is a lot of places, but what you have because of women's choice and being able to make their own decisions without any um parental um I'll say parental blockage, like basically any parental guidance from their parents, or primarily paternal father, so they could make their own choice. So what's going on is these women are making a lot of choices, and they're making that women don't. This is a new paradigm for women. This is less than, basically the state, almost, you know similar to how old the, country of Israel is. Like, it's very new. This concept of women being able to make their own choice without their own paternal father's decision is new. So it's unprecedented, um uh, yeah, like, it's never been done before. And there a lot of women is making a lot of bad decisions. Like, they'll pick. It's like letting a kid, right, have his own, like, I'm talking any kind, a kid, just let them eat whatever they want to. Like, if you let a kid eat whatever they want to, they'll just eat candy for what? Breakfast? They'll eat candy for lunch. They'll eat candy for dinner. And then, cry when they go to the dentist's office, when they got all these cavities and they got all of this mouth pain. And then they wondering, you know, they don't understand why they in the dentist's office and gotta get a needle stuck in their gums, and they're crying, and they got these cavities that need to be filled. And it's because they didn't make the right decision on their nutrition, and their parents did not parent them properly, and feed them the right nutrition. Well, a lot of women, this is what they're doing, right? So in the end, they are suffering because of their lack of decision making skills. They did not pick well. So, worrying about all of that, that's just, I mean, obviously, I'm just saying that that's the reality of women's choice. Most of them have picked terrible men, their baby mothers, single mothers, and they're crying and complaining about the aftermath of their choice, because it was fun at first, right? It was fun. They was having a good time. They was coming all over the place. Very good sex. It was an enjoyable experience, but it was not uh based off of a decision of picking the right person that's going to stay um for a long-term relationship. I did a couple videos, and I talked about, it's a difference between someone that you can have sex with versus someone that is compatible with you to have a long-term relationship. As far as animals, we are animals. Okay, we might be higher dimensional animals in a sense of, we can formulate thoughts, we can speak different languages, we can think very, very awesome and exciting things, and then make them reality, right? We have a very powerful brain, right? At least some of us, right? And the thing is that um from those thoughts, we are still animals. We still have natural instincts, and natural urges, right? So, from those decisions, again, you see the aftermath of that, and that's based off of the fact that everyone can animalistically um mate with each other, right? You don't need any requirements. All the requirements is the penis has to, enter the vagina, and it has to release. And then once that release is done, if the woman is in a fertile state, she can possibly become pregnant. That is all is required for that. Okay. And you can do that with any woman. Any woman can is capable of being um having some type of sexual activity. I mean, ideally, if she has to be healthy, right? No, diseases ideally, because then that's gonna, basically affect you, right? And as well as anyone else that you choose to be with. So it's a thing where you have to, it's in your best interest to filter women out and also get tested. Okay. Before you, I will say this, I'll just do a PSA. Before you go jump out the window, make sure you know who you're having sex with and that you both are tested. Okay. That is key because it's a lot of diseases out here, right? So the thing is let's go back to the basis of the conversation. Why are men having these issues? Why is so many men incels and having problems with getting women in America? Okay. Well, one is societal. Okay. uh these a lot of younger men have seen older men get financially abused, child support, alimony, splitting assets. They see these things. They see the headlines of celebrities and their breakups and them having to spend a lot of money in the courts, paying lawyers. So there's a financial concern when it comes to fearing women, okay? Because a lot of women, even they justify amongst other women to financially abuse men using the court system. Okay, that's just what women, they they to get respect or to get some type of payback, they enjoy revenge. And one of those revenges is financial pain, inflicting, because it's not necessarily about the money. It's not even about the courts. If the woman really has some type of rapport or respect for the man, she'll just basically, both of them can come up with an agreement of, basically what the father or pays for the children. They could both set up a bank account information and then wire money every month for the child support. That's very easy to do. Women don't do that because they want to, a lot of women want to have some type of financial vengeance on the man that is leaving them. So a lot of younger men, or even men in general, fear that financial retaliation that a lot of women in align with the American laws, um basically inflict on men. And the poorest of men, to even middle class men, quote unquote, suffer the most, right? Because they don't have that much, right? That also goes into reasons of why men sometimes uh commit violence, okay? Because they look at it like, you took my children. And it's a dangerous game when you play, when you using the court system to inflict financial vengeance on someone. Because okay, you might be legally getting away with it, right? But morally, or karmic, you know, or karmically, meaning like the law of karma, right? You might be doing something very, very detrimental because it's not balanced. It's unfair, right? You know, getting a lawyer and basically trying to get the max amount of money from another person just based off of the fact that you don't want to be with this person anymore, or whatever the case may be, because you want to commit some type of financial pain on the other party, and you believe that that's normal, and other women that might be pro-feminist or hate men, they might approve of it as well, and of this practice that is also a behavior that's backed by the US laws, right? um that, lawfully, that's fine. Whatever you can get away with in the court, you can get it done, but that doesn't mean that that other party will not crash out, or just give up and commit violence, suicidal based violence, based off of just ending everything or anyone that's involved. They could just basically, they can that can possibly happen, and I don't think that that's appropriate. I mean, but it does happen. How often it happens, I don't believe it happens often, but it does happen. It happens, throughout the United States, like regularly. You could say probably once a month there's a situation where a man offs, himself or his family, or one of the two, or whatever. It happens. But the thing is that um there is an element that men that, even the fact that it's not necessarily the spouse or the mother of the children is trying to financially abuse that man, just the fact that that woman is leaving the relationship and also taking the kids, that is all the reason enough for some men, weak men, to off their, children's mother, and also even the children in many cases. Now, the thing is that, in a sense, that's also a problem of the woman and who they choose, because basically some women choose um men based off of, it's kind of based off of what they can get away with from that man, or they think that they can get away with. And also, it's terrible pickings all together, because these women are choosing these men, they're picking these men. Okay. Even if, like, the man is begging them to be with him, right? Because you got to understand, and this is just kind of like advice to women. You got to be very, very careful of a man that is desperate and wants women so desperately that he's willing to beg you. Because here's the thing, right? What you might think that that's cute and romantic, that a man will cry and beg for you, right? Um, but it's dangerous, because you got a situation where that same type of man, it would basically describe someone that possibly would violently murder himself, or his spouse or even children of the spouse or even stepchildren, whatever. Because men like that a lot of times are men that one would not even, I wouldn't even want to call them men, but these are desperate men that have low self-esteem, and they, some men are embarrassed. Some men actually, there's a certain level of an embarrassment that men and women have to deal with, or they, them not choosing to deal with it usually means that they're, committing, they're often unaliving themselves, right? That's why they say pride is a sin, right? One of the reasons, right? And a lot of people are very, very prideful. Both men and women are very, very prideful. And when prideful people get embarrassed, like for example, you got some men that boast and very, very prideful about the fact that they're married, and that's all that they have. That's their biggest, Pokemon card or collector series, thing that they actually pride themselves on, the fact that they have a wife, a family, and they're married. you know so when their wife comes and tells them they don't want to be married to them anymore and they're filing divorce, and they've already talked to an attorney, and there's papers that are going to be delivered and take notice of them. Well, those are the type of men that possibly will do something like that, in my opinion. And I know this is going really dark, and somebody listening is like, damn, how the fuck am I going to get laid with all of this? Well, I'm trying to give you, it's like building a house. I'm trying to lay the foundation and the gravel and the sand, before I lay the cement and then build up the walls and the foundation and the roof and everything. So I'm giving, kind of base layers before I go into everything. Women, I'll just say this: women are very, very easy, in my opinion, but you gotta understand it comes from a perspective of, well, I'm a genetic lottery. So um, it's a lot easier for me than, I don't really have to crack jokes or anything like that. I just stand up and I get looks. You know, I just walk down the street, I go to a store, So it's like it's a little different, and it's variances to it, but I'm gonna get to it. Promise you, I'm gonna get to it, but I'm laying the groundwork because there's caution signs. So if you walk on a construction site, there's caution signs. You see a street, right, that's going through construction, they got caution signs. Well, I'm trying to lay out the caution signs, because if you're going to try to be, let's say you're listening to this and you are the type of person that I'm making this video for, which is basically an incel, right? Or some guy that has a really hard time getting with women, and go years in long periods where they're not getting sex, and it's not necessarily something that you know they do this often, and they have hard times pleasing women and getting women. Like, there's a lot of dudes that are like that, and this is who this video is for. And the thing is that, well, if I'm gonna be trying to, give you some type of information, I want to give you the caution signs, because women, like I say, women have diseases. And a lot of women you don't really want to mess around with at all, if you could really help it, because it's a term, you probably heard it. It's called sticking your dick in crazy. Okay. That's that's something that you want to try to avoid, right? So there's caution signs all around, right? And I want to lay out these caution signs to be like, okay, well, you You got to be really, really careful when it comes to control, because the thing is that a lot of men do struggle with control, right? They don't know how to control themselves. Sex is very, very addictive. It's a biological urge and also imperative. So it has to be that way. I think nature designed it that way in order to entice, you know, animals to mate, right? To procreate, right? So the thing is that you got to be careful when it comes to who you're going to be with, you know. It's a thing where, you know, I don't really, it's a two part situation, right? You know, some guys are like dogs where they just trying to, they're not, they might have some type of religious morals and all of that. So it might not. But you got guys, man, that they'll just fuck damn near anything that they can, and you got guys that they're trying to meet a particular type of woman. Those is two types. I mean, some guys are a combination of both. Some guys are just dogs. They'll fuck any damn thing that's moving. You know, um, and then you got guys they waiting for the right woman. They're waiting for their Nawalt, their Ruth. They're waiting for some type of Proverbs 31 woman or some type of special woman. Now, here's the thing, right? If I could coax you into one corner, I would say you should be like that guy that is looking for that special woman. Because the thing is that um having a bunch of recreational sex, it's almost like just what you're doing is you either messing around or you practice it. Sex is like practice, right? Because you're not really, unless you're having sex, and it's it depends on what type of sex that you're having. But if you're, if you just having sex with random women and you're not getting tested, I mean, and then in 2025, I mean, even if you're having sex with someone and you know them and you're tested, you're still taking a risk, because women lie, men lie too, right? So you could be with a woman and she's not telling you she's fucking somebody else. That's all it takes. So I mean, I'm just trying to, like if you, whatever road you choose to go on, like, again, there's caution signs out here. There's caution signs everywhere, right? So the thing is that what I'm trying to tell you, if you really want to have a whole bunch of sex, you got to think like an animal. You got to think like a dog. You got to fucking look at things like on a carnal level. Like, a lot of dudes, they just kind of too timid, and it's like the thing is, like I say, like the reasons why these guys exist is a couple things. One of those things is just genetics. I would definitely believe it's genetics. Society is got women really pent up and scared, and they not like in the 90s and stuff. The reason why a lot of Gen X guys, they kind of have like they got a little edge to them, and they're almost like Peter Pan, like they don't want to grow up. Like, basically, I've seen these guys, like, because Gen X, like Gen X and younger boomers or whatever, they know, they remember those times. In it, I wasn't sexually active in the 80s, so I mean, like, I didn't. come into sexual activity to the like 90s, but it was a lot easier back then. So a lot of Gen X, they they're the main ones that are passport bros because they know that basically they remember a time where women were more kind of carefree, more, it was even an element of love involved back then. The music was different, right? Well, those women are older, they're grandmas now, right? Those women that men were getting with, Gen X men were getting with, boomer men were getting with back in the 90s, right? They're grandmas with grandchildren or spinster aunties that are, basically done is 40 plus, basically done with having kids or not going to have kids. So the thing is those older guys might still be single, might still be divorced, they might be just, they ain't never been married. They know that it's part of this country. So that's why they fly out of this country. They go, wherever they go, right? Colombia, the DR, Brazil, Thailand, Philippines. They out of here because they understand, and then maybe they needed a little edge or a little motivation, but they knew, okay, United States is not going to be like 1990 or the 1980s. I got to go somewhere where it's still like the 1980s or 1990s. And that's the thing. Now they do go places and then fuck things up. But the thing is that, I mean, you can still get laid like that in this country, but again, there's things that is a reason why you're this way. You're this timid person. And like I said genetics. Like if if you have like if you tall, all you got to do a lot of time is just not really say that much and just smile. Like women are just naturally attracted to you. Like I said, that's why it's like hitting a genetic lottery. So if you don't have height and looks and all of that, then you have to maybe be more funnier. You got to have some type of edge about you. I mean, you could still be like you could probably lift weights and be short and kind of muscular. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things you could still do even if you're short. But and that does not necessarily mean you not. It's a lot of short dudes that have gotten more women than I've gotten. It's just a lot of it is your animalistic carnal nature. Like the more of a dog that you actually are, the more you gonna get with women. Because there's women that see when you're if you take the path of like you want to just have you want to have more sex or want to have a lot of sex or whatever like that, you know, you going into the world of just just you basically out here like a dog, okay, sniffing butts and and just being a nasty man, right? And it's like that's the thing, right? Like if you're religious as well, you're not going to want to do all of those things. You're not going to do those things because you were taught to believe that those things are naughty. You don't do those things. Those things are sinful and all of this other things, right? That's the way you're taught. So because you're taught that you're going to be option one guy, which is you trying to wait for the woman that is the best woman for you, probably has the same religion you have and all of that type of stuff. Well, the problem with that obviously is if you're not able to find a wife or if you're not able to get married, then you just getting older and older and older, right? Well, the thing is that I understand people's religion and I respect people's religion, at one time or another I was religious, but at the end of the day, um, being timid and all of that, you can still get out of that. Like it might be hard to get out of, but um, if you're religious, I mean that's on you. That's your thing, and I get it. I understand it. It's places in this earth that you have to be religious. If you're not religious, you can, get your head cut off or you can get whipped. You know what I'm saying? Like there, it's places where they don't have like sexual freedom. Okay. The thing is that, people still even having that sexual freedom, they they're religious, so they cling to religion to avoid being fornicating or committing sin, right? So I mean, I get it. I understand. That's a thing where you just have to find the best person in your faith and get that person. You still have to do whatever it takes and find that person, right? But there's some guys that's not religious, right? And they're just timid. They just kind of like they exhibit behavior that basically is a loser to women. It does not net women, right? It doesn't even it repulses women, right? And that behavior might be like a little boy or maybe like you're kind of slow in a sense. It could be a lot of different things. It could be, Peter Pan syndrome. It could be you just, too nerdy. It could be a lot of different stuff, but the behavior is of this timid person. Now, here's the thing, right? When it comes down to it, and this does work, I believe. When it comes to a person like that, right? There's women that actually are just as timid as you. And actually, here's the thing: there's women that are femcells. They're femcells. Like you being an incel, believe it or not, there's women that are your counterparts. They're timid. They might be not, genetically pleasing much themselves, and they have not decided to be gay yet, or they're trying to avoid being gay, or maybe they might already be exploring that route because they basically just not with anyone. They're not with a man. They might have never been with a man, or they've been with men and they've gotten extremely hurt or some type of affliction from those men that they were with or one of the men. It doesn't, that's a part of that, right? And it's like that's probably the women that you might be better off with if you're like that. And it just made me not in you to be that man that, just, meets a woman within 30 minutes and then, next thing you know, you know, drilling her, you know, giving her every part of the D that you got, like you might just not be that might not be in your cards as far as the universe alignment. Like you just not that guy. Like you're you, like whatever that is, like the little boy that's timid, that has the timid soul, just I mean, let's just call him Timothy. Well, it's a lot of Timothys out there, and it's that's just how you are. You're Timothy. You're timid around women, and you just some just this person that I don't know. like his just has this Peter Pan syndrome, and you're probably your mama, you've been mommy to death. Maybe your mom and dad were divorced, and your mom mommied you to the point where you're just this timid Peter Pan type person. I mean, the only thing I could say is like maybe a miracle can happen. But I mean, in my opinion, there's women that just like you. There's women that play with little dials. They got like plush toys. They still have they still play with Hello Kitty memorabilia. I mean, like you I mean, that's probably I would say if I was to like be a matchmaker, I would say that that type of person is probably your best counterpart. And you're not, yeah, you're not, and the funny thing, right? Like a lot of women, most women, if you going out here in the world and you're dating, you know, they're looking for typically a monogamous relationship, or what women out here, I call them monogamous pretenders, right? And these women are very, very dangerous, right? These are the women that could give you a STD because they're saying that they're monogamous, but they're pretending to be monogamous. They really out here doing whoever that does them the right way, like, or whoever they want to get done by, like they're doing it right. But you're trying, like, what they'll do is, and it's almost like, also you got a lot of women that they believe that they're players, like they believe that they're max and players, and they believe that they're the antithesis, we're gonna say it right, of a man that is a Mac, a player, or a pimp, or whatever. Women do actually believe that they can, the notion of whatever you can do, I can do better. Like, so they actually, it is women that believe that there are players, that they play men. Like, they do have quite a few women that believe that they can play men and manipulate men, right? So when they say they will literally, you got women that are literally look for monogamous relationships because they want what a monogamous relationship would bring, all the while knowing that they still deal with their uh the dude that took them on prom in high school. Every blue moon, they got a work romance that they got currently going on. They got dudes that if they in town, they go meet them at a hotel. And it's like, yeah, like that's where, when it comes to, women that do that, they always, you got some women that they might not be monogamous pretenders. They might actually be genuinely monogamous in what they want. And they always complain about men cheating. Well, there are men that don't cheat. There are definitely men that don't cheat. Like the men that don't cheat tend to be more closely to that incel type of guy, or that nerdy guy that he still collects Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and he's crazy about you, and he's not cheating on you. He's not gonna ever cheat on you. You know, and those guys out there exist. There's guys that, like, women know that there's guys that don't cheat, but it's almost like natural selection based, as far as they want the men that will probably cheat because in their eyes or mind, that type of man is the most desired man. So I'll rather have a piece of the most desired man and be the side chick or ex or whatever than just get with this one guy and then complain and then all the while complain once he cheats. That's the you gotta that's the cherry on top, right? Like you get with dudes that cheat on you and then complain about dudes that cheat on you, but there's guys that won't ever probably cheat on you that you'll never fuck with because you're not attracted to them or whatever. But you really, that's the last thing you harp on is the dude that cheated on your ass. So it's like it's the thing is that this is not a live stream to try to understand the logic or mindset of a woman. It's just basically I'm just breaking down that there are women also that are just as probably weird or timid as you are. So if there's a Timothy, there's a um uh what's a female version of Timothy? Tamitha. But I mean the thing is that if you are like that, man, God bless you. You know what I'm saying? It's just the world doesn't. If you was probably, and then this is not for you to be suicidal. I'm not, but if you were born like probably 80 years ago, it would be acceptable for you to be. A lot of men were timid back then because it wasn't really that much to do, and men were not socialized for the most part to just hit on women like that. Like it was like okay, people that went to high school, still high schools, people sneaking around, but men still had to please the father of the, basically most likely future bride, right? They had to please the father. They had to get approval from the father, and it was harder to get laid back then because you had to really, in a lot of cases, marry the woman in order to have sex with her. That's what it was like a long time ago. So it's just because of society is so it's like a bunch of it's like really to be honest, and I'm talking about the whole sexual world right now. The sexual world is really like on like 1,100. It's like going, 100 miles an hour, right? Like it's dudes that got polygamous relate. Here I am trying to help you get laid by one woman and all of this shit, or a bunch of women, or whatever. It's dudes that have relationships with multiple women. It's dudes that's on like some advanced stuff. Why it's like it's some dudes that they trying to just get one woman, right? And the thing is like I'm just saying, like the thing is that it's definitely, I have to say, the most like behavioral limitation that I can see with a lot of guys like this is the timid behavior. And that's just you can't get past that timid behavior. I'm not no timid dude, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm shy. I'm not gonna lie. I do have a level of shyness that I have to break out, and I have, but it is that is like something that I had to deal with, and I still deal with. But I have like, man, I mean, still like, I mean, I can't even really legal. I don't feel comfortable like, I mean, I'd have to even think about my like body count, but I don't feel comfortable giving my body count. Like, so I mean, if even with all my shyness and glory being from the shy, right? CHI, right? I still, again, I do not feel comfortable giving my body count, right? And I'm not tooting my horn, but I mean, shit, like it's you know what I'm saying. Man, it you know, it's like Tony the Tiger. They're great. That's why at the end of the day, like I talk a lot of shit, man, about feminism and all of that shit. But at the end of the day, I'm still trying to get in where I fit in, right? But the thing is, yeah, that the timid behavior. I think that and there was a lot of women that were more timid back then. Like that's why I say the whole 80 years ago thing. I mean, you got women now that the average woman is a freak by the time she gets into high school. And that's been that way when I was in school over 30 years ago. I mean, well, 20 something years ago. Like it's fast. And it's like, I mean, I'm talking 100 miles an hour. Like people was in freaking what do they call it? Um the I forgot what they call it. I'm having a brain fart. Um the fetish lifestyle. Like, yeah, it's a lot of people that's doing all kind of crazy stuff. Like, I mean, the average woman, unfortunately, I agree with this. I don't really talk about it a lot, but just because, like I say, how society is like so fast now versus, how it was probably, decades prior or generations prior. Um, you gotta assume damn near every woman you meet is a hoe. It just, I mean, it's just, I just can't unless you have confirmed that this woman is like a virgin or she really don't get with other dudes or haven't really been with no other dudes. It's just a based assumption that it's just the sign of the times. Like you got women that their fetish is that they're a toy. And without, being too graphic, I mean, just all I could say is go just Google or AI prompt what is in a fetish lifestyle, what is a toy? I mean, I mean, you got chicks that they call themselves brats, and it's like a brat is damn near like a toy. And it's just like you got chicks that are out, are gone. I mean, they are out of here, right? Like, I mean, it's women that they'll literally let you walk them around like a dog. They have a chain on. Like if you see a woman, and Alan Roger Curry kind of talked about this. I think that's this type of situation he had with his wife. Like, I mean, if you see a woman that wears a collar, that means basically 9 times out of 10, that woman has some type of master at home or that she deals with that puts a chain on her ass and walks her ass around like a dog or a cat or whatever. Like, so it's crazy. Like, I mean, you know, you know, it's this whole sexual freedom shit is old as hell, and they've been doing stuff, and it's like the stuff that goes on behind closed doors. I mean, swinger parties and all kinds of crazy shit. I mean, like, sex is really not that big of a deal in a sense of it's so easy to inaccessible. It's just, the thing is that it's weird because it seems like it's so difficult to get laid. And I just think that that's in this country. Like, if I mean, definitely traveling is the way, But if you timid in this country, I would, you get on another plane and you go, like, let's just say you go to DR and you just this, this the timidity motherfucker, just timid as hell. I just don't suggest you go to no DR or anywhere, because that timid behavior, it's like, I don't know, I don't know, maybe you could go to, like, I don't know, Europe somewhere. I mean, like, go somewhere where there's maybe more timid people like yourself. I mean, I don't know, but you can't, like, that timid behavior, like, it to be, to be with women in general, you have, even if you're trying to get married and you're super religious, it's still a carnal behavior. Like, it's a nasty carnal behavior that is very, very enjoyable. And it's like, if you haven't, to a certain extent, you have to tap into your animal kind of instincts when it comes to that. And it's like, it's kind of one of those things, if type thing. But it's, if you never experienced that, or I don't know, like, I just, I mean, it's not much you could do. Like, I mean, it's just, you gotta, it's like something, it's something like with it's a psychological thing. It's in your mind. You know what I'm saying? You probably, you probably need to do some mushroom trips with a license, um, whatever they call those, like, I don't know, mental, uh, what do they call those, hallucinogens therapists or some shit, to, like, recirculate your brain waves, to, smoke some hashish and some, some strong THC to, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, it's just something that I think guys that been browbeat and mommy to, almost oblivion by their mothers, maybe because their father wasn't around for whatever reason or whatever. Like, and you ain't had no older brothers. You might have been like, you one of them families, just basic nuclear family situation where you just got a sister, and you ain't have a brother. I mean, it's like you just, it's just tripped out, man. I mean, your brother can, if you have a brother that can help you, because or other than that, you go outside, hang with, like, some guys in the neighborhood, because, I mean, that's what helped me. Like, I didn't have no brothers, but I would go outside and hang with, other young men in the neighborhood, right? So, other juveniles, right? So that's typical mammalian behavior, right? Animal behavior, right? So the thing is that um I think some women, they mommy their children to the point where now, the not only do they be socially awkward, it's almost like they breed it, because you got some women that they don't let their children go outside to play because they scared. They don't let their children have any interactions with other people, and they really police who their children react to or interact with. And what that does is that breeds that timidity person. That breeds that type of person, because they have limited social interactions. They have very artificial interactions with people, you know so it makes this person is, by the time you're in high school, you're timid. You go through your whole high school career being, this timid person, right? And it's like, yeah, I mean, I was not timid. Even when I was in freaking fourth and third grade, second grade, man, I was a combination of being a bully and getting in fights with other guys. Just it would just I mean, I would just get in a lot of fights like in grammar school. I mean, it was, man, it was a I was to fight so much. I used to have to go to the principal's office during recess. I mean, so it's like, yeah, I didn't, it was like a hierarchical thing that um I wasn't, I definitely wasn't timid. I couldn't My society that I lived in would not even allow me to be timid. Like I guess I could have been timid. I just get beat up. just keep getting beat up. Like just don't throw no hands, don't fight back. Just every person they get a free punch, a free butt whooping just by me just balling myself up and not fighting back. Like I could have done that, and then I would have definitely been real timid. I'd have been Timothy for real, you know. But yeah, it wasn't like that. Like, sometimes I was the aggressor, right? I was the one that threw the first punch. Like, but I mean, some people, man, I don't know. They probably would have were one just balling up like they daddy told wasn't around, and you got some women, they tell they children don't fight back. Somebody fighting you, tell the teacher, and then you grow up your whole life, and what do? You don't know how to fight because you ain't never fought back because your mama told you not to fight back because she whatever the reason why she said it. Maybe she grew up, she that's what her mama told her, and it's weird. Like one of the things that I'll have to say, maybe both men and women do it, but it's mostly from what I see women doing it, because it's like what they'll do is they'll take the I mean the most worst advice or the worst things that they even seen their mother do, and then they'll just do it. They'll remix it and do it to their children. And it's like, this shit didn't work for you. It didn't work out well for you, but then you just gonna you you gonna redo it, in your children, and basically, I don't know if they do that to try to manipulate and have their children be failures too, or they think that's good advice because that's what they had to endure. I don't know. It's weird, but the thing is it brings this type of situation where you have these socially awkward children that now are adults, and they don't know how to even socialize with their own um sex, whether through friendships and and they damn sure don't know how to talk to the opposite sex. They're awkward around their own sex. So with the opposite sex, it's just like, you know, they don't know which way is up. So it's like, yeah, this is, I guess this is like mouse utopia, the reason why this situation is. And I know this is supposed to be advice. But like I did say, I did give advice. You probably need to talk to a social worker. Like there's social workers that have like specializations in sexuality. So then they're like they can be a therapist and a sexual therapist at the same time, and give you advice, whatever. Like, I think it's possible to get through to these people. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I mean, I'm thinking like a boot camp, you know, what I'm saying? It's about like at least $3,000 per head. And it's like these guys, man, they kind of need some retreats. They're gonna have to sign some paperwork, man. We gonna get them out there, get some hallucinogens, clear their brain cells. We're gonna get them some, detoxing, um, and then basically kind of toughen them up for about a good weekend. Um, give them some advice. I mean, it's like the thing is this. I think that a person can just do push-ups, start doing push-ups to be less timid. Like do start doing push-ups and then start running. And I used to run a lot. I can run long distances. I can walk long distances. Like I'm not telling you something that I ain't done. I could still do it to this day, because with running, it's mental. It's you get to a point where walking or even running is mental. It's not physical. You might hurt, it might feel bad or whatever, but mentally you just keep persevering. Your brain carries your body through, the tough, um journey or whatever. But yeah, it's like you need to do physical things to like kind of build your androgyny or your like animalistic nature, to tap into your animalistic nature, like get into some type of sport. Like, I don't care if it's tennis or something, like, because a lot of this, like when it comes to sex is an athletic event. Yeah, I said nobody probably ever told you this shit. Like you just probably, this is the first time you heard this shit. Yeah, sex is let me tell you something. The reason why, like, here's the thing, right? The reason why the NBA guy or the basketball players, football players, whatever, get the most women is because the actual act of sex itself is athletic. It's like I mean, damn near a sport, really. And it's like if you're athletic and you're strong and you have endurance, hello, you're going to sexually most likely please a woman because you have a certain level of power and strength when it comes to sex. So the thing is that, like I said, like this is not something, it is something naturally for me, but I was always athletic. So I was playing sports when I was playing baseball and I was like 8 years old, and then I, was playing sports in high school. I wrestled in high school. But the thing is like, I mean, you gotta do something to like tap into your animalistic nature to where you're you kill the timid spirit in you, like that timid spirit that just that little boy. You gotta like, one of the things about power and endurance strength and endurance training, you kill that little boy. There's a little boy to a certain extent. You don't have to kill all of it, but you kill some of that little boy to make you more responsible, make you tougher, more stoic, whatever the case may be. You kill a little part of that boy, like to where that Peter Pan, like that you kill the Peter Pan syndrome by killing part of the boy, right? So the thing is that when you run, when you do anything that makes you feel pain, push-ups, right? Sit-ups, right? And you're doing it for a long period of time, you're gonna feel a certain level of pain. And that is, I believe that that pain will fight that timid spirit. It'll kill, the little Peter Pan boy with the, Peter Pan hat. Like, you'll start killing that little boy to the point where inside you that you will become a man. You'll have no choice. And a lot of that is weakness. A lot of that timid behavior is that little boy not wanting to feel pain, not wanting to, lift that weight, not wanting to do those push-ups, you know, not wanting to run, not wanting to feel any pain whatsoever, because see, here's the thing, right? What I'm telling you is how to be powerful. What do women like? They like power, right? So when you're trying to get with them or you're trying to get to a certain level, they want to feel a certain way, right? They want to feel the power that you have. And the more powerful you are, the more powerful the sexual experience is, right? I mean, I ain't toot my horn, but there's women that like pretty much, I mean, like I was their basically goat. I mean, like, because I mean, like, I just, I know what to do. Like, I don't, like, for one, I don't really talk about this on this channel, but it's a lot of things that I know that other people like that I don't really talk about too much. I talk about metaphysics to a certain extent, but not really much. But there's something sexual as far as, of course you have the Kama Sutra, the book. The Kama Sutra is an old Indian book, right? And you have other things as well. Like, you have things like sexual books on sexual power, like uh, it's these books I've read, and I still even have them, and I don't remember the title, but it kind of, what I'll say is, it goes into like sexual power is energy, right? It's there's certain energies, right, in the body, in there's like books on, like, it's like, I know one of the books title is called Sexual Kung Fu. Sexual Kung Fu, it goes into, like, the body has like chi in it, and that's your like, basically your inner power and your energy, right? And it talks about how to regulate that, in the different chakras and stuff like that. So it's like, basically, there's a certain level of power that some men have, that they, it takes practice, and then, it's like, it does take a certain level of practice, right? Um because most men don't really try to learn how to have sex, or they don't know how to have sex, or they think they doing something right, but they not really doing something right. Like, I learned long, like recent, like in my late years or whatever, like in my early 40s, that if you go slow and deep, it's a lot of times better than going fast, right? Like, you could, like, I mean, I swear to God, when I learned this, I was like, wow, but the thing is that, that comes from, obviously experience. But the thing is like, basically it's levels to this shit, right? It's a lot of things involved with this, man. It's people that they study the Kama Sutra. Like, they have a partner, like they in the yoga or something, and they actually practice different moves in the Kama Sutra. Like this shit is deep. It's deeper than, it's you could really go in depth with this. Like sex, they say even sex itself is magical. Okay. Its power to it is magical, all kinds of stuff. So um I did this video because it was like, it was a dude that he commented on one of the posts I made on the incel shooters. I basically it was the tag was, they need to start basically giving these incel shooters some pussy, because they, it's like, the thing is like, when a dude don't have no relationship at all or anything like that, men just start giving up, and to a certain extent, I believe women as well, but because men and women need each other, right? Sexual energy is something that is important, or sex itself is important, very important, you know. And if you're not getting it, or not getting any of it at all, like, it could be like a lot of like, men do need a certain avenue of release. Like if they're not getting that, they're not, they don't have that ability to get that, or get it at all, or whatever, then it's not a good it's just a recipe for disaster, because men really, to be honest, we live for women. To be just totally honest, just straight up, just it is what it is. Like, when it comes to, you don't have a woman, like you got, that's why you got these crash outs, you know, because if you ain't got no woman, it a lot of times it's nothing for, whether you having sex, or you looking for a relationship or a wife or whatever. If you don't have a woman, it's nothing really, a lot of times are nothing to really live for. I mean, like, I hate to say it, like, I mean, unless, like, you just, that was what we were designed to be with each other for, to complement each other, to share each other's company, energies, all kinds of stuff. It's in depth. It's really deep, right? But yeah, like, that's why these dudes crashing out, because they don't have anything to live for. Like, I mean, when you got a woman, you got some children out here or whatever, you got something to live for, man. You got some stake in the game, right? You got some, investments, in the pool, right? Like, a lot of these dudes, if you research them, they don't, these, like, active shooters and shit, they all look very similar. They look like the dudes that, was around the lunch table, and they wasn't hitting on nothing. Maybe a few of them play Yu-Gi-Oh or some shit, but they just wasn't, they didn't have nothing really going on when it came to women, like, at a young age, and they grew up and they got older. And it's just, that was why that was why, I did this video. It's, the thing is like, I think that would work, though, with the whole timid behavior. I think that would work. I think if you could do that, because basically it's you basically on some lower tier man type stuff when you're a timid person. I do believe a person can go from like being like a omega male, or something like that, a very lower tier male, to being like a beta or even possibly an alpha. Because it's a miracle, but I mean, I do believe it's possible if you got with the right mentor or something like that. Like if you got with like somebody like, for example, you're a grasshopper and you got with a master that could teach you certain things, how to harness your chi, how to tap into your it's other things. It's like your jing, your chi, and your yang. So you got something that's called your jing, which is your life. That's your actual life force. That's something different than chi. That's like your genetic um life force. You only have so much. We only have so much life force. We all are batteries. Like look at a like yourself as a battery that the cells are getting lower and lower, right? Um, and that's your life force, and um, that you don't want to mess that up, right? So that needs to be in harmony, that needs to be in balance. But the thing is that I do believe that a person can tap into that power source of trying to be a better man, self-improvement to a certain extent, if you wanted to say it as such. But I do believe that miracles can happen. I do believe, but you have to. I do believe it's a certain type of special individual that one could, like, kind of as like someone to mentor that person to that. I don't think a person can do it by himself. I do believe you need like it was like this movie I saw when I was younger. I always reference it. It's called The Lawnmower Man. And the dude basically was like basically retarded. Okay. It's an old movie from the early 90s or even late 80s. I don't remember. But I think no, I don't, that was some other movie. But basically, because I was thinking that movie was filmed. It was a movie that was filmed in Dalton. Like it was a couple movies that was filmed in Dalton, Illinois. I don't think that was one of them. But the thing is the dude from the movie was mildly retarded. Like his IQ level was like basically in the level of retardation. And the scientists he had, like back then, they were, this was the 90s, they weren't called VR goggles. They didn't have that term yet. I think I don't even know what they would, was necessarily considered in that time, but like that's what he had in this. I mean, basically of these VR goggles in today's term. And basically he put the goggles on the dude's head. He basically was the basically he was cutting grass. That was why he called him the lawnmower man. He's an older dude in the neighborhood cutting grass for a living, and he basically had these VR goggles with like all of these educational lessons and everything, all just on these goggles. And he basically put it on this dude's head. And after like a year, dude got smarter and smarter and smarter, to the point where I ain't trying to give it away, but dude did not stop. Like intelligence level, it started to go real sci-fi after like Lawnmower Men 2 and all of that. Like it started getting real sci-fi. And that's where I kind of jumped off the bandwagon. But yeah, like I do believe in like miracles. I do believe in miracles. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's a possibility, but it's like I think a dude like that that's in that bad of a shape, like if you the type of dude that you just a timid dude, just you can't talk to no women, you can't hardly like you socially awkward. You need like somebody that just like just just get you need somebody to give you the eye of the tiger or some shit. Like you need to go to some like you need a trainer. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody to kind of just give you the secret, the ancient secret laws of the universe. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta feel the pain, feel the burn, and you gotta do them push-ups, you know what I'm saying? Run and all of that. And you gonna get tougher. You gonna build up your power, and then you gonna feel the pain of life. One of the things about the pain of life, and that's why people don't really like working out and all of that, because feeling that pain, it's like your body telling you that it's in a hurtful state, like it's strained, and that's what that burn is, right? And people, their body is not there, they don't want to feel that burn, they don't want to feel that pain, you know what I'm saying? They want constant pleasure. Most people's brain is set up for constant pleasure. You know, that's how people get tortured, because they used to constant pleasure. So when a person tortures you, all they do is just make you uncomfortable, the most uncomfortable that you possibly can be in, right? And that's how they torture you. So the thing is that because people want constant pleasure, they don't want to fast, or they incapable of fasting, they incapable of going to the gym, or even just doing some push-ups at home, because they don't want to feel that burn. They don't want to feel they want to run away from the pain. They want to, embrace the pleasure, and the thing is that yeah, like that's the only thing I could really see. Like, I mean, if you're a type of person that you not necessarily that timid, and you just having a hard times talking to women, I mean, I think the person like that, like you probably better off going to the Philippines. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. Like and I'm not and I'm laughing because I'm trying to go to the Philippines. I did a little weekend trip to the DR, and that was cool, but I think I actually do want to go to other countries and stuff, but um yeah, I just think you need to go to the Philippines, man. Probably, probably stay for some months or something, because it's places where it's men like that are normal. Like that's just a normal behavior for a man to be kind of maybe somewhat timid, you know, basically a person don't want to bother nobody, don't want to disrupt anybody out in public, but just an overall general, quote unquote good guy, right? Or general guy. Those guys, man, are not appreciated in America, unless a person is down on, a woman is down and out, and then, she try to use men like that to take advantage of. get some money out of, right? Um, other than that, and that's not necessarily helping that guy out. That's not helping these men out, right? But like, yeah, I think like guys like that, man, that's kind of like maybe mildly timid. Yeah, think you'll do better in probably like another country. I mean, I'm just being honest because it's like, the thing is uh it's just a different type of, the United States is going through a lot of things going on, and it's a lot of stuff going on. And it's just going to another country that might be like back in the 1980s or 70s, might be back in the future or something. Like it's almost like time traveling. It's just better off. I just, it's just better off in general because it's women like that like men like that in other countries. It's appreciative, for men to be like that. Like, Japan. I've definitely been in Japan, and they love men like that. Like I mean, that's just generally how their men are. Their men are kind of, timid a little bit. Asian men kind of somewhat known to be timid. Europeans as well, or Caucasians. That's just, kind of generally how they are. They tend to be like that. It's just kind of their nature to a certain extent. Um, Individually speaking, but um yeah, it's places where that's not that looked down upon, or let's just say there's places where that's appreciated. So I mean, that's all I have. I'm gonna get up off of here. um I hope this helps whoever this helps. um I do consultations as well. If you need somebody to kind of like give you some game plans, check out this site, brokegeniuses.com. Hit the consult me button and I could definitely help you out. Other than that, have a good night and Sunday, and of course, like, share, and subscribe.